How many times is it going to take you, for those of you who are single or maybe not single and looking, of greeting a woman with that, hey, my beautiful black queen shit, and getting shot down quick, or going to the club and doing it? You let me paint a picture for you. We all been in the club, and you know, it takes all types to make the world go round. Yes, it does. Takes all types to make the world go round. How many times have you seen one of these cats in the club, you know, with like this, and this is even before dreads came in style, with the long dreads, or maybe a shell, a cockle shell in one of them, with the fucking, like, the, not necessarily a dashiki, but the type of shirt that just got like the little laces right here and shit, and like the fucking moccasin shoes and shit. How many times have you seen a cat like that, or just t-shirt and jeans, but it's like an Africa t-shirt? How many times have you seen a cat like that step to a black female in the club and get straight, I mean, just straight shot down? Anti-aircraft action, just shot down like a Patriot missile, just shot down. And that very same female that he tried to holler at, leave out of that club and go fuck the most thuggest nigga right in their truck. And suck their dick in their motherfucking truck. How many times have you seen this shit? I've seen this in an innumerable amount of times. How many times is it going to take you to endure those type of rejections for you to finally get it, for you to finally wake up? How many times? What amount of degradation is it going to take you to wake up? That's a very good question, but I do think that a lot of men of this ilk have truly self-destructive and masochistic tendencies. Now, I'm not saying that a black man is crazy or foolish for wanting to deal with a black woman. That's far from what I'm saying. But there's a caveat to that. The type of women that, because there are women of many races that have children out of wedlock. There are women of many races that wear a bunch of fake shit all over themselves, hair, all of that shit. Many races. There are women of many races that have a fucked up attitude. There are women of many races that are disrespectful and physically strike men. But the problem with this is that it turns into a per capita thing with black women, and by and large, the vast majority per capita of black women are this type of woman, whereas with other races, the percentage is lower. It is what it is. So, and for you black women that are like this, you do a great disservice to the black women that are not like this. Sad to say. I don't know why they not at your throats, but hey, that's a story for a whole other video. So I'm not saying that it's bad or crazy for you to want to date a black woman. I have no problem with that. Whoever you want to date, that's fine. But I think it's self-destructive and masochistic to offer blanket immunity to black women the way that you do. The strippers, the fucking prostitutes, the bitches that set guys up to get robbed and killed, the disrespectful ass bulldaggers that talk shit to you, jump on you all tough and shit, try to fight you, and then jump on their phone to call the police after you scrape the floor up with that ass. Women like that, all of you are offering blanket immunity to all of these reprobate black women. And it's truly pathetic. It's truly fucking pathetic. It's truly fucking pathetic the way that some of you guys are. But I don't know if you don't see it, but we see it. We do see it. But let's examine that original statement by Mr. Kermit the Frog, aka Kermit Trill. The Negro man cannot divorce himself from the black woman. And then he went on to say, you know, nations and communities are made of patriarchies and black men will be judged and how history will judge us. First of all, that's kind of a crazy argument to make. when you're living in the moment right now, you're worried about paying your bills and keeping your car running, etc., etc. I don't really think anybody is worried about how history is going to judge a motherfucking thing. That's first off. Because I told you I was going to tear your argument down. That's first off right there. People don't give a fuck about that shit. Especially with economic times like these. You really think somebody is sitting around, oh, I should do this because I don't want history to judge me poorly. No, nobody gives a fuck, dude. I don't even. But that's the usual emotional type of argument based off no logic that a pro-black simp will bring. So he starts to go on and on about patriarchy and, you know, we don't practice patriarchy and all of this and you know what? Shout out to Gerard Bones. Shout out to Gerard Bones and shout out to GW Extreme and others who tore his ass up. Gerard Bones, you a motherfucker. And not just and Saint Guerra. Saint Guerra brought up a very all of these comments have been deleted, so I'm just going off memory. Saint Guerra brought up a very salient point. He said patriarchy is the reason why most women in the world are infantilized now. Fuck patriarchy. I agree with him. And matter of fact, I made a video over a year ago agreeing with just that. But since you're worried about history judging Negro men, since you're so worried about it, I'm glad you're worried about it. I'm glad that somebody actually has, even though it's an emotional argument in the context of what we're talking about, actually has enough forbearance to think about how black men might be perceived in the future. And I'm going to couch that statement with an anecdote from when I was in college. When I was in college, I was a history major. And as you know, that's a humanities major. And so you have to take a lot of humanities courses with a smattering of physical education, math, you know, but, you know, electives and all of that. So one of my humanities, I was in a sociology class. And we had, for our teacher, we had an Assyrian woman from, I think, Lebanon. I forgot where she was from. But she was a Middle Eastern woman. But she lived a totally fucking American lifestyle, cleavage, short skirts, all of that, and was a hardcore feminist. A hardcore feminist. I mean, me and her used to get into some epic fucking battles in that classroom. She even kicked me out of that motherfucker before. I didn't curse. I didn't disrespect the woman's classroom. It's just that it's just certain shit that I was not willing to yield to intellectually. But she did yield me one thing. She said, and she didn't believe in the root slave narrative either. She didn't believe in the root slave narrative either. No. She actually started out, she told me she started out as a history major and that she switched over to sociology because somebody told her that it would be easier for a woman to teach, to end up being a professor in women's studies or sociology than it would history, any type of history. And so she did that for her career. I kind of think that might be true in some cases. It depends on where she would have went looking for a tenure as a professor. But hey, that's neither here nor there. She said that she looked at a close examination of history, right? And she said that she could understand why Middle Eastern women would want to be feminists. She can understand why European women would want to be feminists. She can understand why American white women would want to be feminists. She can understand why even some Chinese women would want to be feminists. But she said she couldn't figure out for the life of her why any black woman would want to be a feminist. I'm going to let that sink in. A hardcore feminist actually confessed to me on a college campus, which is usually a fucking stronghold of feminists, okay? She actually said that she couldn't understand why any black woman would want to be a feminist, and she used to show like a little bit of contempt for the black women that was in the class. It wasn't that she didn't respect them. It's just, but it was the ones that had feminist leanings. The ones that was just like middle of the road, she was cool with them. But the ones that tried to, do the feminist thing, she looked at them like she was crazy. And I asked her, I almost said her name. I asked her, well, why is it that that you can't see why black women want to be feminists? And she said, well, she said, as far as I can see, black women in America before the European came lived in a land of plenty, and they didn't have to struggle for much, and they had the right to divorce and everything, and could inherit property and everything. So they had much more rights than a lot of other women in pre-Columbian times. So I can't see why they would feel the need to be feminists. And then she was like, and after the European came, then black men didn't have any type of power to systematically oppress them. And she said, and when I turn on the radio and I hear these, your R&B songs, it sounds, a lot of you, I can hear the warmth in your voice, and it sounds like you have so much love and affection for the women that you're singing about. And she said she's even been to R&B concerts, and she would see how the singers would like lock eyes with some of the black females in the front row, and she said she with as much affection and affinity as most black men seem to have for black women, she said she cannot understand why a black woman want to be a feminist. And she said, what other race of men will damn near automatically address their counterpart in the race as a sister? She said, so with that type of treatment, I cannot understand why any black woman want to be a feminist. Now you see that? You see that? Even a Middle Eastern woman that's a hardcore feminist can see the intellectual disconnect that you can't. Kermit the Frog. Even a Middle Eastern woman can see that shit. A complete fucking outsider can see it. So, because other people can see it, and even some black men can see it, and you just cannot see it, this would lead one to believe, rather, that you have a deep-seated masochistic and self-destructive pathology, in which, for whatever reason, could it be that your affinity for black women or that they are so aesthetically pleasing to you that you are willing to risk your life and forego all your better judgment in order to be one of them? Could it be that the guilt trips and the shame of language that makes up part of the sexual apartheid that black men and white women in America live under, could it be that? And that spurns you to just reject anybody else, or at least on the surface pretend like you are? Or could it be that you haven't fully reached your residual self-image and don't think that you can attain a different type of a partner? Not so much a non-black woman, but just a quality woman, whatever race she is, that doesn't exhibit these negative tendencies that I speak about so often on my videos.